Okay, let's jump right in. Because honestly, every time we open our news feeds lately, it really feels like humanity is locked in this life or death cage match with artificial intelligence, right? We're constantly being told it's us versus the machines. Just this exhausting race to see who becomes obsolete first. But what if that entire premise is just fundamentally flawed? Welcome to today's Explainer, where we're going to completely flip that script. And to do it, we're actually going to look backward to figure out how to move forward. So, must humans compete with AI? It's easily the most anxiety-inducing question of our decade. You're out there every single day probably feeling like the hero, trying to face down this unknown, fire-breathing dragon of AI at your job, in your creative projects, just in your daily life. But today, we're not talking about how to fight or slay that dragon. Instead, we're going to uncover an ancient Eastern strategy for taming it. We're going to explore something called correlative thinking. It's this beautiful principle that seemingly opposing forces are actually deeply connected and interdependent. And, as you'll see, this might just be our ultimate survival strategy in this new era.
First up, we need to understand the shift, starting with a concept called Taoist mimesis.
So, we are talking about a massive paradigm shift today. We're transitioning away from that exhausting humans versus machines mindset and stepping into a totally new way of thinking about complementary partnerships. The foundation for this comes from Taoist mimesis. Now, formally, this is defined as the initial spiritual dynamism that seeks to transform the abstract world into a concrete body. A bit academic, I know, but the absolutely crucial point here is that second part, recognizing that opposites actually complete each other. Instead of viewing AI as this alien enemy coming to steal our jobs, this ancient wisdom teaches us to look at AI as a mirror. It's an entity that reflects us and, paradoxically, it actually necessitates our human existence. We aren't looking at cheap imitation here. This is about a dynamic, living vitality.
The ancient philosopher Laozi captured this perfectly. He said x is negative x and negative x is x. Now, at first glance, that looks like a typo, right? Or just some bizarre math equation. But it's incredibly practical. Think about a middle schooler for a second. If studying is x, then resting is negative x. If that student only studies and never ever rests, their concentration is going to completely collapse. But if they only rest and never study, well, their growth halts entirely. Those two things aren't enemies ruining each other, they're a pair that makes each other complete. Just like day needs night. And, as we're learning, AI needs humans.
Let's dive into our first actionable strategy, Pillar 1, IPSHE, or stereoscopic thinking.
So, how do we actually put this into practice? Well, our first major survival strategy is stepping back and seeing the whole multidimensional picture, instead of just one flat side of an issue. Think of it this way. AI deals entirely in flat data. It can process vast amounts of information at lightning speed, for sure, but it completely lacks genuine intentionality. Humans, on the other hand, provide deep context. We have what philosophers call qualia, that subjective, physical, emotional texture of a real-world experience. Imagine a cardboard box. AI looks at a photograph of that box and only sees a flat two-dimensional front. Stereoscopic thinking is our uniquely human ability to physically pick up that box, turn it around in our hands, feel how heavy it is, and see the sides, the back, the inside. When AI hands us flat data, we have to bring our lived, physical experience to understand the deeper layers underneath it.
Moving right along to Pillar 2, Wu Wei, which translates to non-action leadership.
Now, guiding AI with Wu Wei absolutely does not mean just sitting back and doing nothing. It means acting without forcing things against their natural grain. If you try to lead an AI system through rigid control and intense micromanagement, you're actually going to suffocate its capabilities. Instead, we need to set the core values and the general direction, and then give the AI the breathing room to find optimal solutions within that framework. It's kind of like a river flowing to the sea, right? You don't have to literally push the water, you just define the riverbanks. Or think of Aesop's fable. You don't forcefully blow the traveler's coat off like the harsh wind. You act like the sun, gently warming them until they take it off themselves. And of course, always question and compare the AI's output with your own critical thinking. That is Wu Wei in the modern workplace.
But here's the catch. What happens when that AI output isn't quite right? We have to remember that AI is basically a giant mirror reflecting human society's own inherent contradictions and biases. When an AI spits out a wildly misaligned or prejudiced judgment, it's really just reflecting the deeply flawed human data it was trained on. To fix this, we have to apply the principle of Huajiang. That's the ancient concept of reconciling differences and resolving disputes. We have to look into that AI mirror, acknowledge the ugly face of our own societal flaws, and take the responsibility to harmonize and correct them. It takes a true leadership of reflection. Which brings us to Pillar 3, Pate, or gestation.
Correcting those societal flaws and growing into something better requires a really safe environment, and that is exactly what Pode is all about. This comes from the ancient 12 life cycle stages, and it represents that very first, vulnerable stage where new life is conceived and safely protected before it's forced out into the harsh world. In the age of AI, we humans must act as this safe space. We have to be the womb of creativity. AI can calculate and spit out results instantly, but human beings are the ones who have to provide a protected space for unverified possibilities, those crazy wild new ideas, and all those awkward first attempts. They need a safe place to sprout and grow before they get ruthlessly judged.
And this matters so deeply in our daily lives. Take a look at this quote. The role of the human teacher, who encourages the process of the student making mistakes, cannot be replaced by AI. Think about a kid learning a brand new hobby. Let's be honest, they are going to be terrible at it at first. If they are only evaluated on instant, perfect results, like an AI judging a dataset, they are just going to quit. But a parent or a teacher who actually values the messy, mistake-filled process of learning, they are providing that poche, that safe gestation space. That requires a deeply human environment of patience and care that a machine simply cannot replicate.
Finally, we reach the synthesis, Yi-Yang Hoptic, the yin-yang harmonious union. So, we have stereoscopic thinking to see the depth, we have non-action leadership to guide without forcing, and we have the safe space of gestation to nurture the new. All of this builds to our ultimate survival strategy, Yi-Yang Hoptak, the harmonious union of yin and yang. We are not opposing forces. AI provides the yang, the rapid drafting, the cold efficiency, the immense logic and data processing. Humans provide the yin, the emotional depth, the warm authenticity, and the intentional ethical judgment. Just imagine a student writing an essay. The AI quickly drafts the structural outline. That's the yang. But then the student refines it, injecting their own lived experience and real empathy. That's the yin. Put them together, you get a masterpiece. It's not about yin destroying yang or vice versa. It's about combining AI's incredible calculative power with human intentionality for a truly symbiotic coexistence.
Which leaves us with this final, incredibly important thought. AI gives us the speed, the raw calculating power to build the future faster than we ever could have dreamed possible. But the ultimate question is, do you have the depth to guide it? We absolutely do not need to compete with machines on speed or data. That's a losing game. Instead, we need to lean heavily into our stereoscopic thinking, our wise and gentle wu-wei leadership, and our uniquely human capacity to nurture and care. That is our true survival strategy in the AI era. Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer. Keep turning that box, keep looking for the deeper context, and I'll see you next time.